all other members on the dais and also off the dais. It's my privilege to be here, and I'm going to share some of the critical observations on the thrift management, which has become a serious menace nowadays. See, insects evolution is almost along with the plant evolution, and national policy on IPM, although we knew IPM from very long period, but it has come in 1985. In spite of a lot of efforts made by the government and also the research and farmers, the production is still not, although we are sufficient on several areas, but some of the areas still need more attention. As far as farmers are concerned, in spite of modern technologies, farmers' dream still remains as tomorrow I will become rich. Now, government is giving a lot of emphasis to enhance the productivity as well as the economy of farmers, and the post-harvest is one of the area which is being pointed that it will have a lot of emphasis. Since time is very short, I will not read out all and everything here, but I can just say that there are certain medicinal plants and culinary plants as well, which are either infested by thrips or specifically by the onion thrips, which is Thrips strepsii, basically, that's more important. At the same time, there are certain plants like ashwagandha and other medicinal ones, which are not attacked by this notorious thrips, which is now damaging in certain situations up to the 50% crop. That these losses are very high, and if you see the nature, it's polyphagous in nature. I am giving some of these points because the group is very heterogeneous, and we know that entomologists alone cannot solve this problem because it's also vector and also infesting after the post-harvest. So we need to understand certain criteria of which are the critical issues. Now let us say that IPM modules, if you see, you will find every university, every college or every scientist has come out with certain modules pertaining to thrips. But what I have done that the NIPHM, that's from the government side, where the components from the Directorate of Plant Protection, quarantine storage have also been included. So I have enlisted in one of the module. The second is DOGR, where the onion and garlic crops are the main responsibility, and then the farmers' practice. What we find here that if you see the cultural practices, which are very important, and we need to give more emphasis on the ecological engineering, because most of the farmers, they are not much used to it. What they are looking high-yielding varieties, and also sometimes the very good chemical pesticides so that they can get rid of the pest. And that probably is one of the factors that has created more problem in the environment. Coming to sustainable agriculture or sustainable management of thrips, biocontrol agents are very important. So through ecological engineering, probably we can conserve them or enhance their activities. Now there was a brainstorming on thrips at the government level, and ICR scientists and others who are working, they have contributed, and the major concern was given by DG, R.D.Gautham and other experts that yes, it is a serious problem. There are certain avoidable losses. What I have explained that in the field condition, it can go up to 50%. And in storage, losses are there, whether it is due to moisture stress or due to some other biotic stresses. I conducted a small study and found that sometimes certain bulbs which are marketed also get infestation of these thrips. So when I put it in the pots at my residence, I could see the thrips developing, and these are some of the photographs related to that. There are problems in the storage, as I mentioned, and these are different kind of mites, different kind of say the thrips, and also sometimes the storage pests which are normally on the spices like Lesioderma ephistia, and one maggot is also there. So there are 5 or 6 biotic agents apart from diseases that I am not talking about. There is a need to develop very good post-harvest treatment protocol so that these losses can be avoided. And then the commodity also will be worth marketing. Mites, I can mention here that there are references that when mites feed on bulbs, then the sprouting also is induced. Further, I did some study here with the help of my students and students, you can say, and I could isolate from these plants not only the Thrips tabaci, but also the mites, which are still I am studying. And the happy news here is that I was able to get even a 5% mite. Often these thrips will lay eggs inside the plant tissues. They are inserted here, and through the microphotography, you can see here inside the circles, there is something like eyes, and inside there is an egg, I suppose. Further studies are going on. This I have put up basically because in the counting, population count, when you go for population count, very likely there are to be errors because the insect itself is very minute, less than 2 millimeters. So what to talk about other stages? But if we develop some, say, kit here, diagnostic kit based on this, probably we can even see the infestation before infestation is made by other immature stages or adults. We can very well pinpoint and then take some corrective measures. So this can develop in 1 month time. There are some special features I thought I will mention here. So I will try to read in a few seconds, and you also try to read, because these are important to know. And if once we know the features, then we can certainly avoid the multiplication of this and also the dispersal of thrips. So this can multiply very well, and because it has so many hosts, and it can feed during the field and after field, that is post harvest. Wide spread potential is there. Spread potential is very high, as I mentioned, and if you see that through air, water, and food source travel, all sorts of say factors influences dispersal. So we need to know so that we can avoid these situations with regards to Thrips tabaci. Inadvertent movement is very often, because it is also acting as a vector, so we need to take care of these points, what I will say here. Now the distribution is all over, and it's a problem only in Mikingan, India, China, and Japan. So this is the situation, and I have tried to analyze what is the strength and what are the opportunities, what are the threats based on the SWOT analysis. These are some of the photographs I can show you here. This is one of the plant which is Allium tuberosum, wild onion or wild garlic. I just mentioned here garlian because it has both the characters. Now it was supposed to be resistant. When I inoculated in the same part, this one, I could see that things developed very well on this. So I will just mention about the way forward. Some of the points are there. I will skip over here. Then what is needed actually, the systems approach for protection of agriculture, production and trade. Under this, what I have done, that the field operations are there, then the post-harvest operations are also there. So if we follow this, probably we can be able to, say, push our trade. Similar exercise I did when I was in the Caribbean for pink millibug, that's the grapevine millibug, and I was able to demonstrate not only the control but also the post-harvest treatment protocol. One thing I will mention here, sir, that somebody rightly pointed out that the methyl bromide cannot be used at this stage because of its ban. But we could see, I tested magnesium phosphide against fresh produce, and more than 100 fresh produce, that's the commodities were tested, and we could see that there is no adverse effect on the shelf life. At the same time, the insect was killed very well. So this type of fumigant we can try, and that will take care of all the biotic stresses during the storage. So I will go hurriedly. So these are some of the commodities, and onion was also included in that. So this brought back the glory. Now the strength and all, I will tell you that there is a very good parasite which exists here, and it has been exported to some of the countries from Hyderabad. This is the one yellow feet wasp. So if we can protect it or do even knifing at national level, that itself will be a very good area. Then the sticky traps. Normally blue traps are recommended, but yellow is far better in the sense that that also attracts the parasite. So if we are able to take the population of parasite as well as the thrips on the yellow sticky trap, that will be the added advantage. So we can manipulate whether alternate blue color or yellow color depending on situation. Now coming to ecological engineering, there are certain plants I have listed here, and depending on the location, you also can identify which one is resistant or it has some potential which can add extra money or extra price to the farmers, then that can be included. So the idea here is that select plants in such a way that they also serve the purpose of alternate food to the natural enemies, and there are certain plants which can repel and so on. This is one of the plant under the ficus which harbors a lot of natural enemies, and I could see here at IRI center. So this kind of plants can be selected. Then this parasitoids and predators. Some of the parasitoids and predators have already been, here is a list which have been imported in our country during 2013 and 14. And somehow I was involved, so I could just enlist here that these are already introduced by the public sector, private people, and we can maybe make use of it by licensing. And there was very good media people are here, and Sakal Gupta newspaper.